All right, Jackson's going to assist me today. I appreciate it. Get these young interns up here. The one thing I'll tell you guys is that I've never worked with Jackson before. He doesn't even have a clue what my progression is, okay? Just a little bit of history about myself, so you just don't think I'm some guy up here telling you about the clean. I was privileged to coach for 20 years at some of the top universities in the world. I was at UCLA twice, UTEP, University of Akron, and NC State. I also ran 2 different velocity sports performances, one in Southern California and one in Cleveland, Ohio. And I started a sports performance training facility with Akron General Hospital, which is now owned by the Cleveland Clinic. I got out in 2015 and got into sales, and now I am very fortunate to be working with the top flooring company in the world. So I'm very excited to be here and be a part of this. I love this type of stuff because to get coaches together and just share information, to learn from some guys like Boyd and Joe is just, I think Joe, what did Joe say? He was 40 years. He's been in the NSCA to take that 40, 50, 60 years of information, right, and try to steal a little bit of it to add to my program. That was always my goal, all right? So I was a big Olympic lifting guy. I will tell you, the one thing that I learned from 20 years of coaching is there's a lot of different ways to skin a cat, okay? I think the biggest thing to get success in your program is buy-in, 100%, right? And for me at the collegiate level, that always started at the top. If my coaches bought in, my athletes bought in. Because the weight room, let's be honest, right? It's hard work, right? Not everybody wants to do hard work, okay? So for me, the Olympic lifts were about being explosive and about speed. I wanted to transfer what I did in the weight room onto the field or the court or whatever it may be. I was very fortunate that early on in my career, I graduated from the University of Akron. I went out to UCLA with Kevin Yoxel, who's out in the hallway. So Yox was my first boss, first mentor. And while I was out there, it was insane. I didn't realize at the time, but I went and got my USA weightlifting certification and got recruited to start lifting by a guy named Mike Bergner, who is probably one of the top weightlifting coaches in the world. And so I would go down to his house and train in his garage. So I came from a big, beautiful weight room, right? And we'd go to 4 platforms jam-packed into this garage with 4, 6 lifters with 4 or 6 different bars on a platform. And we were all in there, and oh man, it was a blast. But the thing that I got most out of it, right? I got to train, and he coached me. But I went and sat and stood right beside him when I was done and watched him coach the other athletes, because he could see things that I couldn't see, right? And he taught me that typically when I see a problem with the athlete, the clean, the jerk, or the snatch, it's not there. It's probably 1 or 2 steps back in the progression is where the problem's occurring, and you're just seeing it as it grows and festers in that progression, right? And so I was able to learn from Coach Bergner. I was also Dr. Richard Borden, if anybody knows who that is, all right? Unique situation. I got to know Dr. Borden, and he would actually come to my house and stay at my house. He'd drive to all the NSCA conferences, and he'd stay at my house. And so, again, learning from a great knowledge, a bunch of knowledge from that individual. And then I was the low man on the totem pole, so Yock said, hey, you've got to stay late at night and cover this extension class that we're having in the weight room. And I said, all right. And so the teacher comes in, and it's John Garhan, okay? And so talk about, man, I had some dudes that I got to learn from early on in my career. And I was young and dumb and didn't realize it, but man, did I get an opportunity to learn a ton of information. So during that process, right, I picked and chose little pieces that I stole from everybody to create my own program. I didn't want to say, oh, hey, I got Yox's program and I'm going to run that for the rest of my life, right? I wanted to take what I thought Yox did well and what Mike Bergner did well and whoever I learned from and combine that into my program. And so over time, I really started to develop my progressions. I am big on progressions on 99% of my exercises, all right? And so my clean progression, I learned that, man, in the beginning, I got to teach a lot of these athletes, I think Joe said it, who don't know how to clean, right? But I also want to get them strong. And so I developed the convergent clean progression, okay? And so I go top down and bottom up all at the same time. All right, so Jackson, if you don't mind grabbing the bar, or you don't need to grab the bar, but we'll set you up over here in a second. We'll have you face out. When we do Olympic lifts, right? Remember what I said. I am big on doing the Olympic lifts to create power in the athlete. I want to teach them to be explosive. I want to teach them to do triple extension, because when I run, I drive through the ground and I get triple extension, okay? So when I do Olympic lifts, to me, right, when I do plyometrics, to me, I don't care how high you can jump. If you're not getting triple extension, it's a waste of my time. I don't want an athlete who can jump and pull their knees up and jump and get on top of a bar. Now don't get me wrong, we did that sometimes, but I want to overemphasize triple extension from the hip, knees, and ankles, because when I run, that's what I do. Whether I'm cutting sideways or driving forward, I get triple extension, okay? And so if you looked at my programming, when I programmed the athletes, whether it was a football player or a track athlete or a soccer player, I used a weight that they could continue to get triple extension on, right? Because the heavier we get on the bar, if I load 300 pounds on the bar right now, Jackson's probably pretty explosive. He can probably move fast, but the majority of my athletes started slowing down, right? So I made sure I used percentages that they could still be explosive and move the bar fast. So for instance, when I was at UTEP, one of my coaches was like perplexed that he walked into the weight room and a bunch of his athletes were using 30 kilos on the snatch. I don't care how much weight was on the bar. I want them to be explosive and move it fast, right? And in the beginning, we got to learn, okay? So again, my thing was all about technique. And I heard Joe talk one time, and he showed a guy catching a clean out here, and right? And he said, that's bullshit. I can't build on bullshit. Right? I need good technique that I can lay the foundation and then I can build on, right? And so we were huge on proper technique. So first thing, when I jump, I want to start with my feet approximately under my hips. I'm going to explode and drive through the floor. Now, does that mean that I'm going to all the time get up on my tippy toes at the end? No, but I'm still driving through the floor. The heavier the weight, the less my feet are going to come up off the ground. But I am not jumping and picking my feet up and slamming them on the ground. Because when I jump and my feet leave the floor, what happens?
Disconnection.
The disconnection and the power stops, right? At that point, I better be pulling myself underneath the bar. So my feet go from hip to shoulder, and that's it. I drive, and then I get out. And that's why my feet move, because I want to go from power to strength in a nice foundation, right? But I don't want to pick them up, because that's just slowing me down from getting underneath the bar. All right? So, the clean progression from the top down. I like to start in a high chest position. What am I trying to do? For athletes, I wanted them to jump higher and run faster, right? So I need to teach them how to jump with this bar in their hand. So, Jackson, if you can take a thumb length grip on the bar, and that's about where I want them, right? If Jackson says, hey, coach, I like to go a little bit wider, cool, right? On snatch, I will tell you, I think Joe talked about it earlier, the one thing that I did do with my quarterbacks, my volleyball players, anybody overhead, right? My pitchers, I stopped doing wide grip snatch with them, and I brought them in close grip snatch, and I never had another shoulder issue ever again, okay? But they were still moving that bar through a long range of motion, being very explosive, very powerful, okay? All right, so thumb length grip. We're going to stand up nice and tall. Jackson, go ahead and step out there wherever you're comfortable, feet underneath your hips. And now I just want you to bend at your knees, but stand up nice and tall. There you go, right there. That is a high chest position. If I'm going to jump with a bar in my hands, I need to get to this position before I jump. All right? Notice how the bar is riding right up against his thighs. One thing that you'll see once he gets going is that bar may brush, but he's never going to bang, right? I don't want to bang. That bar should be in tight the entire time. I don't want it to come out and around my knees. I want it to stay in tight. And yes, there may be a brush at the top, but there's not a bang. That bang shouldn't happen. If I bang, the bar's out here in no man's land and I'm in trouble, I'm either going to have to fight to get it back or I'm going to have to chase and go get it, okay? So from this position, I just want him to learn to jump and shrug and keep these arms nice and long and nice and relaxed. And I like to rotate these elbows out, all right? And so Jackson, go ahead, jump and shrug. Boom, right there. Okay, that's what I want him to do. That's the top of the progression. All right, so bending, he's going to drive through the back 3/4 of his heels. He's going to jump nice and tall. He's going to shrug straight up. Go ahead. And that's it. Okay, now I'd give him a little bit of feedback. I see his bar sliding away when he jumps. Okay, I'll tell you how to fix that. Jackson, when you jump, engage your wrists. Yep, right there. Go ahead. Jump and shrug. Boom. Okay. Look at that. This to here is what? About maybe 2 inches, 1.5 inches, 2. That's a lot. Okay. So that engagement right there makes a huge difference. Okay. And I know we got lunch going, so I'm going to move. If somebody has questions, please ask. Stop me. All right. Now I got to teach him how to receive the bar. Okay. So I teach him front squat. So he pops it up there. I like to rest the bars. If he took his hands off the bar right now and keeps his elbows nice and high, that bar stays put. Because he's not holding the bar in his hand, he's racking the bar on his shoulders, and by getting his elbows nice and high, those delts create a nice shelf for that bar to sit on. Okay? So he's got that down. Maybe we do a couple no-hand squats or even some front squats. I just want him to feel that bar sitting on there. And Jackson, can you talk? Is that bar up against your throat?
No, it's just in front of it.
Okay, but he can still talk, he can still breathe, but it's touching, right? But it's not choking him, right? A lot of times they're like, well, I don't want it. It's gonna. No, it's not gonna choke. You're gonna be okay. All right. Okay, go ahead. You can grab your bar. Okay, so I go from the high chest jump and shrug to the front squat so that they know where to catch it at the next step in the progression, right? Okay, so next step in the progression is going to be high chest power clean. So when you catch the power clean, Jackson, I want you to get tall, jump, and then I want you to catch it in a front squat position. Okay? Go ahead. Elbows up, butt back. Good. That simple. Okay, let's go. Give me slow, take your time, maybe 2 or 3 more reps. So don't rotate yet. High chest, long arms, and go ahead. Nice, good. That's one thing that you'll notice. He wants to start bending his arms right away. Why? We are arm dominant. Okay. The one thing you'll notice is I do not teach a high pull. And the reason why is at UTEP, when I was teaching the high pull, it caused them all to start using their arms, right, and doing a reverse curl. That's not what I wanted, right? And these aren't weightlifters. I'm training athletes to be explosive, utilizing a exercise that weightlifters use, right? Okay, so maybe 1 or 2 more. High chest, stay tall, bend the knees, get tall and shrug. Yeah, nice. Butt back, butt back. Good. So when you jump, I want you to think about that bar coming back to you. Don't go get it. Okay, one more time. Arms straight, high chest, jump. Yeah, that was better. That was better. Good. Notice how when he caught it, he didn't catch it out in front and have to adjust back. He was right there, but that bar stayed in nice and tight. Okay, great job, Jackson. All right, so next step in the progression, right? I'm going to go a high chest clean, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to have Jackson do a couple high chest power cleans, and then I want you to add a squat into it. Just pause for a split second and then do a squat. Let's do 2 of them. Okay, high chest. Good. And then squat. Nice. One more. Good. Look at what he just did automatically. I didn't have to tell him, right? He took that pause out and he went right into the front squat. Go ahead, one more. And I want you to notice something. Look at go ahead and stand up. You're fine. Look at where these elbows are at. As long as his elbows are high, he'll never get injured, right? As soon as his elbows drop and he starts getting his elbows onto his thighs in that bottom position, now we're setting up for a forearm break or jacking our wrist up. So elbows high, I'm going to be safe, right? I can fall backwards, I can fall forward. I'm good as long as my elbows are high, okay? All right, hang position. So from here, I'm going to go from high chest to hang, okay? So go ahead and start in high chest. and then rotate into hang. Good. I've never worked with Jackson before in my life. Now, Jackson knows a little bit more than maybe a freshman coming in that doesn't know anything, but go back to high chest, and then go hang. And I want you to go back in that same pattern. Back to high chest, hang. High chest, hang. All right, go ahead. You can set that down for a second if you want to. Here's the reason why I teach that. Did you guys see what was happening? Hang, high chest. Hang, high chest. There's something called a double knee bend that I do not coach, but I do. Okay? An athlete never hears me say a double knee bend, but I coach it. If I go from here, right, and try to jump from here, what am I using? A ton of low back, right? I want to use legs. Why am I doing the Olympic lifts? To be explosive. So when I get to that position, I want to get tall and jump, all right? And so I teach that position. So Jackson will go, let's just show him that a couple more times. That high chest to hang. So high chest to hang. Look at his knees push back out of the way, and he gets tall again, right back into, and his knees push forward. Hang, high chest. Okay, Jackson, I want you to do that same exact thing, but when you get back to the high chest position, just go ahead and give me a power clean or a clean, whatever you want to do.
Straight into it or pause?
Right into it. Boom, butt back, nice. One more. Nice job, nice job. Okay, all right, from here, I'm going to add below the knee. So let's go high chest, hang, below the knee. And now look what happened to his knee. It came back, right? So if I go from below the knee to hang, go ahead, Jackson. Look what happened. He had to go out and around, right? Jackson, do that again. Go from below the knee to hang and push your knees back out of the way. Yes. Now high chest. Good. Back down, hang, below the knee. Hang, push the knees. Yep, get tall. Nice. One more time. Below the knee. Hang. High chest. Go. Boom. Heels. Nice job. Nice job. Okay? Top down. Top down. That's my progression. Okay? At the same time, in the same workout. Jackson, let's pop over here. I want you to set up in that clean grip from the bottom and just show me what your setup will look like. All right. One of the first things we have to do is teach the athletes how to set up. If you don't know how to set up and start your pull from the floor, you're in big trouble. Okay? So, no, you're good. Jackson's got a big chest. Right? Come on. His heels are flat on the ground. Right? Man, that's a good position. Great job, Jackson. Hold it. I'm going to hold him there. Right? And that's going to progress over time. Maybe it starts with 20 seconds, 30 seconds, right? And I'm going to get him strong. Go ahead and stand up and relax. I want him strong in that position. If he can't pull it off the floor properly, we're in big trouble. So if he pulls off the floor and the bar comes away, big trouble. That bar has to stay within my feet, okay? So Jackson, next step, next in the progression is going to be a 1-inch pull. So I want you to take that same position you did and give me a 1-inch pull and hold in that 1-inch pull. Push the knees back out of the way, work the back 3/4 of the feet, 1-inch pull, right there. Good. You may even push the knees back just a tad bit more. Good, good. And set it back down. Give me 2 or 3 more reps like that. Real control. Chest up nice and tall, eyes straight ahead. Yeah, there you go. Not up, right? Eyes straight ahead. Eyes straight ahead. Good. All right, so now we're going to progress into a clean pull to below the knee. So he's going to just go right below the knee. So go ahead from the floor to below the knee. Now, do you remember when you were in that position just a second ago? Good. All right, back down. Below the knee. Push. Hang. Don't go around. You just did it. What did you do when you went top down? Push on. Yes. Push the knees back out of the way. Yes. All right. Back down to the floor. Take your time. Shift back onto the heels a little bit more and push the knees out of your way as you come up. Go ahead. Boom. Good. Back down. Again, heels, heels, back down, off the ground. I want you to really push, work the heels, back 3/4 of your foot, and push your knees just a tiny bit more. Go. Hang. High chest. Good. Set it down. Good. From there, I'll do a clean deadlift, right? Because I can, during this time, I can start adding some weight to it and getting them strong, okay? But I need them in a proper position. I still need them, even in that clean deadlift, to be pushing the knees back out of the way. And from the floor, I can't be here, right? If I'm here, the bar's gonna be out front. I've got to settle back, and I like to say work the back 3/4 of the foot, the knee pushes out of the way, and then I get tall. Yeah, Joe?
When you're pushing back, I mean, from an athlete standpoint, like kinesthetics, how much load and stress should they feel in the hamstring and the glute to know that they're in the right position versus too much, say, on the quad or the knee joint torque?
Yeah, so I would say a lot, right? A lot of stress on the hamstring. When I'm coming up here, when I do this right there, boom, oof, I can feel it already, right? I can feel it already, and that's where I want to be, okay? I want to be here. I load those hamstrings, and then I get tall, and I jump, and that bar's riding in tight.
All right, part B. So, again, I don't know this guy. He looks like a qualified Olympic weightlifter. So, but when you're dealing with most of the population we are, I know a lot of times you see different learners, and one is feel and touch. Are you bringing that up of how your hamstrings and glutes should feel?
Oh, yeah. And we're moving through this progression really fast. What I found worked best is when I finally got a coach that allowed me to take the first semester. Yes, you heard me right, the first semester. And we worked on isometric movements, and we worked on positioning, right? And my athletes were, they had like 5 kilos on the bar. Okay, and what I found is that the coaches at first was like, whoa, hold on a minute, like that's a long time, 12 weeks for them not to be really lifting a lot of weight. I'm worried that they're not gonna get strong enough. I said, coach, wait, and let's see what happens. So we went through that first semester, and on average, my athletes were about 15 to 20% stronger by the end of the first year than they were prior to that, okay? Just by being patient and taking some time to teach them how to do things right? Because what I found was, if I had swimmers or soccer players, they'd never been in the weight room, right? And if I had football players, some of them knew what they were doing, but the majority of them didn't, okay? And they were harder to work with because a lot of times I had to bring them in and break down some patterns, okay? And so we took a whole semester and really set them up for success by putting them into the proper positions and talking about it. Hey, we'd hold isometric below the knee for 30 seconds, right? And in that, where are you feeling that? Are you feeling that in the hamstrings right now? If you are, perfect, that's great, right? All right, any questions?
I just want to say that thing you're teaching right there is I think it's referenced as clearing the runway by USA Weightlifting.
Okay.
So if you look from the side, the barbell should be taking off towards the hip or towards the upper
Coming
thigh.
back.
Yeah, vertically it may be a little bit back. And so
Yeah.
clearing the knees back is clearing the runway. I like that. That's
Yeah.
good for kids, kind of like that terminology.
Yeah, I like that. Good. Yeah, and then from there, we can go right into power cleans and cleans, okay? I did do full movements with my athletes, right? When we were at UTEP, we were doing power movements, and one of my assistants, who was an Olympic weightlifter, said, Coach, why aren't we doing full movements? Like, both of us come from competitive Olympic weightlifting, and especially when I was at a mid-major, I felt like the advantage of me developing athleticism, right, and movement patterns was very beneficial. And as long as we taught them to get their elbows up, nobody was getting hurt. I never had an athlete get hurt. The only time an athlete got hurt was if they dropped their elbows and got a wrist. Okay? Again, I modified my pitchers, my quarterbacks, my volleyball players. They all came close grip snatch, not wide grip. All right? And so really, if you said, Coach, why don't you close grip snatch all your athletes? Yeah, that's fine with me. I just want the bar moving explosively, okay? And so if I can take that stress off the shoulder, I'm all about it, okay?
Are you going to have him do the squat, power clean and squat clean now?
You want to see them?
Yeah, let's do it.
Jackson, you know what you're doing?
Yes, sir.
All right, take your time. Push the knees out of the way. No, just roll. Just take your time. Don't be in a big hurry. Okay, not bad. All right, let's go again. Now, when you get past your knee, go ahead and go from there to hang. Take your time. Push your knees back out of the way. Work the back 3/4 of your heel. And now I want you to be explosive. Jump! Okay, again, one more time. I want that pause. I need you to jump vertically and get tall. Jump! Get up tall. Yeah, okay, that was it right there. Now just add the rest of it in. That was perfect. Perfect. Take your time. Be patient. Go. Yes, better, better, better. You're still out. You're still landing balls of the foot, and I'd like to see you bring that bar back in a little bit closer. And remember, I want you to get tall and dig, right? And it's going to pull yourself under the bar. Engage. Don't relax. You pull yourself under the bar. Okay? Take your time. Patience off the floor. Go. Heels. Yeah, better. Much better. Much better. Okay? Guys, again, I've never met Jackson before. We've been here for like 15, 20 minutes, right? And he looks pretty darn. Now, I know they do Olympic lifts at Texas, right? And so he knows a little bit more maybe than, but I'm not going through this at that fast of a pace. I'm taking my time with my athletes that are coming in, okay? It can be done, all right? And I think it's very beneficial to do the Olympic lifts. Now, if you never do a full clean or a full snatch, I don't care, right? Be explosive, jump with the bar in your hands, all right? And I like to rack it. I like to absorb it, right? I got football players that are taking, that's an impact sport, right? I want to be able to learn how to absorb a load and stay tight in my core. And that's why I think it's big to rack and catch the snap. Okay? Any questions at all? Awesome. Oh,
I know you work with the equipment field, flooring, and equipment, so I thought this was a nuanced thing that some of the coaches that coached a long time might enjoy to hear. Two things I think are cool. If you see how his neck's kind of red,
Yes.
if you have a center knurling bar and it's really prominent, that can be a little bit difficult for a 13-year-old kid or 14-year-old kid. You know, like a girl that wear a necklace, it'll really scratch it up.
Sure.
Sometimes if you can buy a bar like they have here at Waco High School, the Waco High, they bought bars with no center knurling. And I know that that's really helpful to learn and clean for a young kid.
Yeah.
So if you're buying equipment, that would be a good thing to think about. My bars have center knurling, they don't. That's a little easier. And then of course, if the bars have a decent bearing that spins properly, so the Olympic lifts like the clean and the snaps, that's really impactful for shoulder health. So.
And I have no skin in the game, so just take this as information. So I'm a big Alico guy and was an Alico guy, right? They're kind of the standard. But I was just up visiting a good friend of mine, Ryan Davis, at the University of Maryland, and he said, honestly, I feel like the road bar is just as good as the Alico bar. So I haven't been on it, can't speak to it, but just that's information and knowledge that he gave me. So something to look into. If you jump on an Alico bar, it will have center knurling in there, but it's just for show. If you feel it, it's not rough. And I even will tell you that that's about as rough as I want the knurling on a bar. If it gets any rougher than that, oh man, that stinks. Especially, my hands are pretty hardened. Some athletes aren't, and they're gonna hate it. Hate it. Okay, so yeah, pick your bars wisely. Good point. Thank you.
Great, thanks.
Yeah.